What's good, everybody? Welcome back to the Cheap Truth YouTube channel. Hope everybody's doing well out there. Thanks again, once again, for tuning in and dropping in and checking in with Cheap Truth. I appreciate it. As always, make sure that you leave a like on this video before you leave. And also make sure that you drop a comment and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. So I see that I got some new subs since the last video. I really appreciate you guys. Thanks. Come on in, bring it on in. Yeah, thanks for all the new subs. I really appreciate it, man. And if you guys haven't checked out the last video, make sure you check it out. It's a follow-up to a previous video I did about Roger Forson, the police officer in that particular case. He was fired from his job, and I'm doing some reaction to that. So go check that out if you haven't already. But as far as today, what we talking about today, man? What we got? What else we got here, man? We got a story out of Goodlettsville, Tennessee. So I saw this story come across my timeline, and I'm like, oh yeah, I gotta talk about this. So apparently in Goodlettsville, Tennessee, there was a police officer by the name of Noah Werner, and he apparently arrested at least three people on suspicion of DUI, and all three of those individuals were found to be not guilty. So looks like we have a crooked cop here, or we have somebody out here who is abusing their power, like a lot of police officers do. And he was out here trying to get people locked up for no reason. And I'm going to play this clip, and I'll give you my reaction to it. So let's get into it.
Performing a field sobriety test is not what Jeff Adams expected last September as he was heading to his job as a teacher in Brentwood.
I figured I could pass it, because I wasn't drinking. I was on my way to school. It was 5:52 a.m.
Video recorded by an officer shows Adams didn't do well standing on one leg. Still, Adams couldn't believe what happened next. Listen.
Sir, I have not drank a thing. I don't drink. I don't smoke. I don't do drugs.
And Adams wasn't lying. 4 months later, his blood test results show no alcohol, no drugs. But the arresting officer, Noah Werner, wrote he showed several signs of impairment.
I don't think you're safe to operate a motor vehicle.
Can I call my school to let them know that I need a substitute?
The case against Adams was ultimately dismissed. The damage, though, was already done.
It was the most traumatic experience to know that I'm being arrested. I'm about to be fingerprinted, mugshotted. All the man's got is his reputation and his name. And it's getting smeared, and I didn't appreciate it.
Chokes you up a little bit.
It does.
And a WSMV4 investigation found this isn't the only DUI arrest made by Officer Werner that was dismissed. Turns out Adams is the third sober driver to be arrested by Werner for a DUI last year.
There's a problem. There's a pattern, is what this is.
I certainly regret that, and I really deeply I hurt for what they went through.
Chief Gary Goodwin is Werner's boss at Goodlettsville Police. If you had just one case, that would be one thing. But in this officer's case, you have three people who were sober and arrested for DUI. So what does that tell you?
It doesn't necessarily tell me anything. Obviously, it's concerning. You hate it for these three people.
Goodwin admits he's frustrated by the situation. Look at the reports. All three drivers, including Adams, showed multiple signs of impairment. In one case, a driver had a half-empty beer can in the driver's side door, but they were all found to be sober.
I'm looking at them and I'm saying, I'm not sure how I fix this.
And an ongoing WSMV4 investigation shows it's not just Goodlettsville. Police are arresting sober people for DUIs all over the mid-state. And because of a backlog at the TBI for alcohol and toxicology reports, we found some innocent drivers are waiting 8 months to get results back. And in many times, sober drivers are asking for breathalyzers. Listen. But they didn't. You can see in the video, Adams was taken to get a blood draw instead. After that, he was taken to jail.
Why not use a breathalyzer each time? That would at least tell you if that person had been drinking alcohol.
So many people that we see now, they're under the influence, but it's not necessarily alcohol.
And a blood test, which takes longer to get back, is the only way to know for sure.
I just put myself in their position, and how would I feel if this happened to me?
Adams knows how it feels each and every time he drives past where he was arrested.
Sometimes I'll refer to it as the scene of the crime because it was a crime against me.
Jeff Adams kept his job as a teacher. He was not suspended. The additional problem is that he also drives for Uber, and because of his arrest, Uber suspended him. And he estimates he lost out on $15,000 in potential earnings.
Jeremy, this story was so hard to watch. So is Goodlettsville police doing anything different as a result of this?
Well, the chief says they're reviewing these cases to see if there's anything they need to be doing differently in their field sobriety testing. But the real challenge is that there are so many real drunk drivers, police can't take the risk of not arresting somebody, even if they suspect them of being intoxicated. But these drivers are angry and they are asking for change. Lauren.
Okay, so as you can see, very, very disturbing stuff right there. And not just in Goodlettsville, Tennessee, but all over Tennessee, the state of Tennessee, and all over America for that matter. We know that this happens all over the place. So my initial reaction to this is that it just goes back to what I've been saying and that I will continue to say as long as it rings true. The police have way too much power here. Man, this is ridiculous what they're doing to these people. And you can't be playing around with people's lives like this, man. That's not fair and that's not cool. You know, luckily this guy, the school managed to kind of stick it out with him, and then they didn't fire him, and he was able to keep his job, and they let the process play out. But he could have lost his job. And I actually did some additional research into those other stories that they talked about, those other 3 people that they popped up on the screen. One of those guys actually did lose his job. And on top of that, it was very hard for him to get another job. So I guess apparently the potential jobs, they Googled his name, and of course his mugshot came up. That's the type of shit I be talking about, bro. And that's just not fair for them to be able to do shit like this. And just kind of get away with it and just skate off into the night. And nobody knows who they are, and they get, you know, shit, probably a lot of times they don't even get fired. But even if they were to get fired, they'll just get picked up by another police department in another county somewhere. You know, there have been way too many instances where you got the police knocking down doors and serving warrants to the wrong houses. And, you know, that's what happened with Breonna Taylor. That's how that happened. Roger Forson, video, I just did a video about that. Same thing, right? Go to the wrong apartment. This guy's just chilling in his apartment, not bothering anybody. And the police just kind of gets to skate away with that. And yes, the guy got fired. Okay. No criminal charges have been filed. Hopefully that's next, but he'll probably just end up going to another county somewhere and getting hired on. But I just don't think that that's cool. And they need to start holding these police officers accountable for this stuff, man. And really start bringing down the hammer, like bring down the fucking hammer and let them know that this is unacceptable. This is intolerable. We're not going to tolerate any of this. And the sad part about all of this is that, you know, a lot of the times in these situations, when you're found innocent, it doesn't get broadcast as loud as it did when you got arrested. You know, so a lot of these, you know, local newspapers and websites, you can go on there, you can see, hey, who got arrested this week? And you can see, oh, mugshot of the day. You can see all that stuff. But 9 times out of 10, you probably not going to see, hey, this is who got cleared today. Here's who the cases that have been adjudicated. Here, want to check these out? You're not going to see that on the website. So it's a devastating hit to somebody's image for this to get broadcast and for this to be public like this. And even though they may be found guilty now in these cases, the news station did a story on it, and we can clearly see that these individuals got cleared. But a lot of the times, I mean, that's not going to happen. They're going to get charged. You're going to be able to look their names up and see that they got arrested for suspicion of DUI, but you're not going to be able to find that they got cleared as easy as you did when you found that they got charged for it. I mean, it's just a fucked up situation all the way around. And the breathalyzer test, as you can see in the news clip, for some reason, they don't want to give you that, even if they request it, even if the accused requested, they don't want to do that. And I can only imagine that they don't want to do that because they know it's a bunch of bullshit in the first place as to why they're stopping you. And they know that you'll blow clean and they'll have to let you go. So they figured, well, we can get them on the blood test. And if we don't catch them on the alcohol charge, well, maybe we can catch them on some weed or something like that and validate the arrest and validate the stop. So that's a bunch of BS, and the toxicology reports will take forever to get back. And in the meantime, your reputation is just getting hammered, right? Because you're in the newspaper or you're on the news getting arrested on suspicion of DUI. And in some people's minds and some jobs' minds, that's enough to convict you in the public, even though you are innocent until proven guilty. But we know how society works, and we know that a lot of the times that's twisted, and it's the exact opposite. You're guilty until proven innocent in the eyes of the public sometimes. And that just goes back to what I said earlier. Police playing with people's lives like this, that's not cool, and it's downright criminal, and they need to pay for it. Like taking money out of their pension, pay for it, money out of their paychecks, not hiring them again. You have to bring the hammer down on this type of stuff and show officers that this is unacceptable and we are not going to tolerate this type of behavior. As far as I'm concerned, this officer, he needs to be investigated for every case or every police report that he's ever been a part of. Because now I feel like everything that he's ever been a part of is in question. And there's no telling how long he's been doing stuff like this. There's no telling how long he's been lying on people and lying on police reports. It's just like speeding. If you get caught speeding, you get a ticket for speeding. 9 times out of 10, it's probably not your first time speeding. You just so happen to get caught that day. So this guy has probably been doing this for a while. I didn't get how long he's been on the police force, but he's probably been doing this stuff for a while. And it finally came to the light as to how crooked of a cop he is. And, I don't particularly like the way that the police chief responded. I was expecting him to be a little more forthcoming and to take more responsibility. You had the news reporter there ask him about it and tell him, hey, this guy, it's one thing for it to happen one time, but it happened 3 times with the same person. So what does that tell you? And all he had to say was, he reels back and says, well, I don't know if it really tells me anything. I feel bad for those people, and it's just a bunch of BS. I don't trust him. He's probably running a crooked operation up there. They have a saying. I know they say this in sports with a lot of like head coaches, particularly teams that may have some edge to them or some dirtiness to them. They say either you're coaching it or you're condoning it. So either you are coaching this behavior, police chief, or you're condoning it. And I just didn't like the way he came off. It came off as real nonchalant, and the way I took it was he was basically telling those people, well, man, that's messed up. I feel bad for you, man. That's messed up that y'all ended up in that situation. But oh well. I would have expected him to say something along the lines of like, I really apologize for what happened. I've already talked to my first of all, that guy's gone. He's been fired. he will never step foot into a Goodlettsville police station ever again. You won't see him around here. And I've already told my other police officers that if they're caught doing this, they will be fired, and there's zero tolerance for this behavior. I would have expected him to come out and say that, but instead protect I guess it was, the code of silence, back to blue, trying to protect their own. That's what the police do a lot of the times. They think that there's no such thing as a crooked cop, even though we can look back in history and see that there are a plethora of crooked cops, and that they do lie on police reports, that they do lie on people, and that they do plant drugs, and that they do a lot of BS to people, and can get away with it scotch-free. But let them tell it they don't do anything wrong. And that just kind of rubbed me the wrong way. But last thing I want to mention before I go, as always, want to learn some lessons from this, because either one of us could be in this situation. Y'all got to realize that in most states, you can refuse that field sobriety test. That field sobriety test is a bunch of BS, and it's something that the police has in their arsenal to try and convict you of something. Keep in mind, y'all, from the time that the police stops you to the time that they walk up to your vehicle, they are constantly collecting evidence to make a case against you. They are not your friends. I don't care how nice they are. I don't care how forthcoming they are. They are not your friends. Trust me. They want to make a case against you. They want to convict you of something. That's why they're stopping you. From the time that they get out that car to the time that they walk up to yours. That's why they say you have the right to remain silent, and that less is more. Even the conversation that you have with them, they are always collecting evidence to put in their police reports and make a case against you. So just keep that in mind. Now, look up your individual state's laws. Don't let me lead you wrong, but in most cases, you can refuse that field sobriety test. Now, I know in my state, if you refuse it, you can refuse it. You can legally refuse that test. If they try and give you a breathalyzer test and you refuse that, I think I have to go check this. But I think if you refuse the breathalyzer test, you'll end up getting your license suspended for a year. But now that I think about it, I can't remember whether it was refusing the breathalyzer test or refusing the blood test. I think it's the breathalyzer test. If you refuse that, your license automatically gets suspended for a year. And then the blood test, you got to do that. Or else I think you'll end up, I don't know, you got to do the blood test. But yeah, just keep that in mind, y'all. Just know your rights. Know your rights, and always arm yourself with knowledge. The best thing you could do is arm yourself with knowledge, bro. Because these police officers, they know that 9 times out of 10, the person that they're stopping, the person that they're talking to, they don't know their rights. And you have every right to refuse that test. And it's a dumbass test anyway. Walking backwards, whatever they do, walking on a line, put your hands where my eyes can see. That stuff is, that a sober person will have a hard time passing that, let alone a drunk person. So just keep that in mind, y'all. Like I always say, arm yourself with more knowledge. But anyway, that's all I got for today. Hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure you leave a comment on the video. Give this video a like, and also subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I will talk to you guys next time. And as always, count your blessings, not your problems. I'm out. Peace.